the Strait of Hormuz is having to international shipping, particularly the 20,000 seafarers that are still trapped in the region, and of course are suffering as innocent people that have nothing to do with these geopolitical situations, but find themselves with very little assistance. This is a message that I will continue to reiterate. The conflict, of course, has additional implications, particularly because with shipping not being able to trade in accordance to the well-known international freedom of navigation, then we all suffer from it. We've seen how from a region where at least 20% of the oil is exported from, fertilizers, in relation to food security, prices increasing for all goods and transport, then the long-term ramifications, ships not being able to meet their schedules when it comes to port calls, shipping having to once again demonstrate how resilient it is in finding new routes and trying to continue to move nearly 90% of essential goods for everyone. And that's why the member states of the Council of IMO then called for this meeting. And of course, some of the main decisions were the condemnation in relation to these cowardly attacks on shipping and particularly on seafarers, the fact that the freedom of navigation needs to be upheld, respected, a call for de-escalation, for multilateralism and for diplomacy to come back. There's a need to provide assistance to the seafarers for the health and well-being, to respect the rights of the seafarers, to even remotely support them when they're dealing with low supplies, with mental health, stress, as well as fatigue, the fact that ships cannot be left unattended, and because of the situations, including the disruptions on air traffic, even crew change is difficult, but whenever possible, the Council also called on all the countries in the region to provide the necessary assistance to seafarers and to the ships. The Council also decided to start working on a framework on how it's going to be possible in a safe way to all these ships, nearly 2,000 ships that are within the Persian Gulf, west of the Strait of Hormuz, and of course for the 20,000 seafarers being affected to also evacuate. On top of that, I was instructed as well to continue following this very closely, not only on the remit of IMO, communicate all these decisions widely, to engage with the relevant agencies of the United Nations in order to seek further assistance on matters that are sometimes beyond the remit of IMO, and maintain, of course, the engagement and coordinations with all the member states of the all stakeholders, including industry players. So those are the main outcomes. This is not the end of it. Of course, this is the beginning. Now is when we start working on those different mechanisms, how we're going to share information, how we're going to contact with the different countries in the region in order to provide support to the seafarers as well as with the industry. With that, leave the floor to you to any questions. As you know, the chair of the council, Mr. Victor Jimenez from Spain, is also here, so you can direct questions to me or to himself.
Hi, Joel Flynn from TRT World. This is to you, Mr. Secretary General. You mentioned in your closing speech that the root causes of this situation may lie beyond the mandate of the IMO. Some countries, and just this afternoon we've heard that the UK, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Japan are expressing their readiness to contribute to appropriate efforts to secure safe passage in the Strait of Hormuz as well. Given your comments earlier this week to the Financial Times about no guarantee ultimately being 100%, do you stand by those comments that there is no practical way to make commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz completely and utterly safe?
Sorry, on your question, you said that no guarantees. This is related to naval escort of vessels, right? Just to make sure, because I think that was left out from your comments. I mean, it's no. I have said this before. The root causes are beyond IMO. We don't deal with geopolitical situations, with geopolitical conflicts. Merchant ships are there to trade around the world for the benefit of everyone. But I said from the very beginning when I started my tenure as Secretary General that any geopolitical situation that has a negative effect on IMO, and in particular on the seafarers, is something that we need to engage accordingly. When I said that we don't have the solutions for the root causes, is because we need a cessation of the fire. We need actually to de-escalate. We need the conflict to come to an end for shipping not to be used as collateral damage in this situation. And that's what I welcome all the countries that are actually working towards that diplomacy, those negotiations, bring the parties to the table and find the solutions that would allow shipping then to continue to operate. And I do stand as well by my comments in relation to naval escort on commercial ships. Is not 100% safe for merchant ships, and it's not a long-term and sustainable solution because ships can still be targeted. There's still a risk there. And that's why that's not a solution that will completely eliminate the stress and the risks that the seafarers have been putting through right now.
Thank you, Secretary General. You just mentioned that the Council meeting had agreed to encourage the establishment of safe corridor to facilitate the evacuation of the vessels and the seafarers, and how would the boundaries of such a corridor to be defined, and what mechanisms may your work continue to ensure its safety and recognition by all parties involved? Thank you.
Let me use the terminology correctly, and the Council Chair can help me here as well, because it's a framework for the safe evacuations of the ships, and it's of course a voluntary measure. The reason why I say that is because it's very specific what we were requested to do. Now, here is where my work starts from the outcome of the decisions. I can't give you specific details right now, but of course I will be working with my team, with all the UN agencies, with the member states as well, and with the industry. But my first point of contact will be all the countries in the region in order to start the conversations on how such kind of evacuation route can be put in place. We know the technical mechanisms of how to put routine measures in order for ships to evacuate. We need to look into the different ships that we have there, and as well as how long they've been there, when was the last time that they received supplies, in order for us to look as well at any prioritization. This is not bringing all the ships out in one go and in one day. We're talking about a Strait of Hormuz that it's around 30 kilometers wide. So the safety of navigation is paramount, because also with any measure that we put in place, we don't want to increase the risk on the seafarers. But more of that will come after this session. I mean, please understand that we finished just half an hour ago. And then this is where I start looking into all the technical, operational, and diplomatic conversations that I need to have.
So, China Central Television.
Sorry, what are we?
Sorry, I have a question. As a specialized agency of the United Nations, should the IMO avoid becoming a platform for political confrontation? And how do you assess the proposal put forward by the Chinese delegation? Do you see it as constructive?
Member states at IMO, like on any other UN agencies, have the right and their prerogative to express their point of view. That's not for me to judge. What is important, and this is what I always reiterate, is that we take on board all the comments that are made by the member states, and then we focus on what is within the remit of the organization, from the technical aspects to the operational aspects, as well as the welfare and the seafarers. And this is why, every single statement that is made from every country actually assists us to understand better the way that we will address the specific measures that we as an organization will put forward. But at the same time, we don't have a solution. This is similar to what I said earlier. We don't have a solution or a mandate, because it is within our remit, on specific root causes of the geopolitical situations. But we can't give a blind eye to the fact that particularly innocent seafarers and ships are being used as collateral, and it's something that the organizations needs to engage, if it's not for us to sort out directly, to actually engage with all the relevant stakeholders in order to seek what we want, which is shipping to go back to trade in the way that is expected to do.
Hi, I'm Niki. Secretary General, there is some kind of uncertainty whether the Strait of Hormuz has been mined or not. Have you got any information that would indicate that Iran has laid mines in this area?
I don't have confirmation of that information. I know that it's being reported in the media. Oh, it went off. Sorry, I don't. Apologies. I don't know how. I didn't touch it. Just to let you know. I cannot confirm that because we don't have any reliable sources of information that have confirmed that to us. Of course, one of the things that we are combating is misinformation in the region. But within all the conversations that we have with different stakeholders, whenever there's something else that is confirmed from that, of course, we will be reaching out to the necessary countries to corroborate.
Yes, Richard Gasford from Al Jazeera. Can I just ask whether you feel that ships and crews are currently under unnecessary and unfair pressure to take commercial risks? And do you also fear an environmental disaster from all of this oil that's currently being held on these ships under these circumstances?
The risks